Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hit and Hustle from MyRsportsDaily.com. I am your host, Greg Flammang, and with me, as always, is Jamie Uyeyama, Mr. Jamie University. It is Tuesday, December 16th. It's award show season. Jeremiyah Love just finished third in the Heisman voting. So we're going to talk about him and his season. Jamie did a top 10 plays of Jeremiyah Love. We'll talk about that a little bit. Leonard Moore is trending towards being a unanimous selection for First Team All-American. He was a finalist for the Thorpe Award that was won by Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs is a good player. I did not think that he should have won the award. I don't think Leonard Moore should have won the award either. I think it should have been Mansour Delane from LSU, where I think you also agree with me, Jamie. And we'll talk about the portal, where Notre Dame kind of fixing their roster, getting their roster set so that they know exactly what they need to get into the portal. I think that's a kind of a big thing that's coming down the pike for Notre Dame. And then some recruiting stuff. Got a couple of quarterback commitments from the 2027 class that I think everyone should be excited about. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in this morning. If you like what you hear, hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know whenever it is we are going live. And as always, the show is brought to you by ESQ Clothing, founded by Notre Dame alum Ge Wang. He is Chicago's go-to for the best custom suits, shirts, and sport coats. Jeremiyah Love was rocking an ESQ jacket at the awards ceremony, Jamie. If you have a chance, check it out. I think Matt Freeman put it out. The design was unbelievable. The inner lining was great. A bunch of photos of Jeremiyah Love and his time at Notre Dame. So that was awesome. So that's the kind of thing that ESQ is doing. It is, of course, the season of gifting. ESQ is here to help get you, your husband, father, son, nephew, and even the unlikable uncle some style for the holidays. Known for their next-level craftsmanship using the finest fabrics, ESQ has introduced a 100% Pima cotton t-shirt to go along with its award-winning bamboo dress shirt, available for purchase online. They've got showrooms both downtown Chicago and in Winnetka. Book your custom fitting at esqclothing.com and step into confidence with Chicago's finest. Mention ISD or appointment, or use the code ISD at checkout and receive 10% off your entire purchase. I don't know if this is a hot take, Jamie. I don't feel any kind of way about the Heisman and Jeremiyah Love finishing third, other than it's awesome that he was there, and I'm glad he got to be a part of it. I don't think too much about being snubbed or who should have won or whatever. Doesn't really matter to me. I love that he was there, and I love that he got to be a part of it, because I think it kind of shows the quality of player that he is, and it's obviously great for the program and it's great for him. But he's a good story, and so it was great to have Notre Dame put on that platform.
Well, and I think no one forgets Rocket Ismail because of what in his impact, because he finished second.
Right.
That isn't something. It's not like he's remembered less fondly because of that. So I don't think there's any of it. Like, the top 10 plays of Jeremiyah Love that I put up, like, everybody was just like, man, what a player. Like, there's guys who literally there's a ISD poster who's 80 years old who's like, I've, since I was a little kid, I've watched the team. This is the best running back that has ever played for people. There is an appreciation for him, and I think that's what's like most important, is that he'll be remembered by Notre Dame fans in that way. And I think too, right? Like, as Isaac brought up Diego Pavia, who, I mean, guy shouldn't even been there. He should have not been eligible this year. It really is. It really does irk me. That makes me even more mad, that the fact that his reaction to that, because, man, you got given this gift of having this extra year that you really didn't deserve. It wasn't like you missed it because of a medical thing or anything like that. You were just like, let me just sue so I can just get an extra year, even though you played the same amount of eligible years as everybody else. And so his reaction, even if you feel that inside, don't say it, you moron. And him, he struck the Heisman post 7 times during the year. Like, what a loser, what a clout chaser. Like, honestly too, like, there's something about like where Jeremiyah Love, when you could tell from last year too, like, it didn't help him that he was playing hurt in the college football playoff last year.
Yeah.
win. He wanted to win for his team. And just Jeremiyah Love, what an absolute stud. Just a stud, just an unbelievable football player. I thought, I don't know if you saw, but like Devontae Smith from the Eagles, right?
Yeah.
You're a Heisman voter, you get to vote, right? And or you're a Heisman winner, you get to vote. You always have a vote. And he had that, and he said he voted for Love. Like that was his choice. He said it wasn't a great Heisman year, which it wasn't, but he was doing things that were worthy of it, and it shouldn't just be a quarterback award. And I thought that was totally fair. But in saying that, I don't think like Fernando Mendoza was not a deserving player. I think he's a very good player. I think obviously too, thank God that he won and not Pavia, because he obviously is such a classy speech and a wonderful speech. And, is a guy that he's an easy guy to root for, just like Jeremiyah Love is too. So I love that Love got celebrated. Love that he won the Doak Walker Award.
Yes.
Very deserving. Get out of here, Missouri fans who think Ahmad Hardy deserved it. Like, it's not even close. But it was, I wouldn't even say it's like you finished third. Who cares? It's not bittersweet because he was celebrated the whole weekend, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah, first ever winner of the Doak Walker Award at Notre Dame, which is obviously a huge deal, right? As many good running backs as Notre Dame has had, and obviously the storied history of the program. Like, if you're going to win that award, that's great. So good for Jeremiyah Love there. I think the Heisman has to. They kind of got to figure out what that award is trying to be, frankly. Because it's not that I think Fernando Mendoza is an unworthy winner or anything like that. I just think the notion that
he was the most outstanding.
He's the most outstanding this year. Like,
I don't know,
because he threw a couple passes. Like, to me, like everyone, there's multiple, like, not just moments, but full games for Jeremiyah Love where he has that just kind of separate. And for Mendoza, it's like the pass against Penn State, which is you're coming back against a bad team. And it's like more of a great catch by the wide receiver than it is a great pass, whatever. And then he throws a clinching pass against Ohio State in a game where they scored 13 points. Like, it's just kind of weird. Like, it's like Jeremiyah Love. He gets held to 33 yards against Miami. It's like, well, he can't win now. But meanwhile, like, are we charting the stats of every Mendoza game? Like, I just think if Indiana had lost the Penn State game some kind of way,
wouldn't have won it.
He wouldn't have won the award. Like, what is this award trying to be? And then the year before, Travis Hunter wins, and like, he had no moments.
He was a great player. I actually think he was deserving, but it's it's the opposite.
Like, it's just the word is like, what are you trying to be? So that's the part of it that I don't really understand, just as a separate conversation from Jeremiyah Love or whatever. Like, I just feel like there's other players they need to be able to evaluate for an award like this, because to me it's not showing who the best college football players are in a season, just kind of on a regular basis. Leonard Moore finishes third in the Thorpe. Again, or I don't know if he finished third, actually. He did not win the Thorpe Award. It went to Caleb Downs. I think Caleb Downs is a great football player. All right. He absolutely is. And I'm not hating on him as a player. First of all, Leonard Moore, like, he's the Biletnikoff winner for the best wide receiver goes to Mekhi Lemon. Leonard Moore covers him in the football game and 2 for 28. So that's kind of a big deal to me. If you look at who Ohio State played throughout the year, like, basically no good passing teams kind of ever. I guess you could count Texas, although I don't know that you consider them a great passing team. You could say, I guess, to the extent Indiana, but it's like, what did Caleb Downs do in that game? I don't know that he did. I mean, he's a good player. I'm just saying he didn't have a bunch of great moments. I thought Mansour Delane had the type of season that it was dominant. Is unbelievable. I mean, the guy gave up 13 catches all year. All year as a corner, And he obviously no touchdowns, 11 passes broken up, 2 interceptions. I mean, it's like he was clearly in that conference too. Like again, they're playing quality every single week. It just like I think the Thorpe Award they need to do some soul searching when the player of the year for the entire defense doesn't make the finalist for your award. Burn it down and figure out what's going on there. But Leonard Moore obviously should be in a unanimous. He should be a unanimous first team All-American, as will Jeremiyah Love. And that would be great for Leonard Moore as well. So anything on the Leonard Moore situation before we move on to the portal stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, we already talked about it before about Delane. Like,
yeah,
I think he was deserving. I don't think it would have been an outrage if Leonard Moore won at all. Obviously, he was deserving too, but I just think Delane was probably the guy who should have been. And I kind of feel like most of the awards, it's very career based. Like they're like, this guy, it's his time now, because Caleb Downs has obviously been a great player for 3 years.
Yeah.
And if you come in and you're a great player as a freshman, obviously the guy's awesome. He's going to be a first round pick, all of that. But that happens. And that seems to be the case. So like, it's just one of these things where Leonard Moore, if he has the same kind of year next year, he will win the award, because it's like, well, these old writers who are voting for it or whatever will be like, well, Leonard Moore. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I remember him. Yeah. So that's the way it usually goes with that kind of stuff. And I mean, the voting for all that kind of stuff is usually pretty crappy. I don't know. Like I would love to see the votes for some of it. Yeah. Like I did see, because, there are people who share their Heisman votes. And like I saw John Wilner, who's like a long time, Pac-10, Pac-12.
Yeah, I was going to say West Coast guy.
And, it's his thing, and he didn't have Love on there. And I was like, well, you just spent the last 2 weeks just ripping on Notre Dame, so we already know how you feel. Like, like it's just one of those things. It's like, it's obviously biased. Like there's too many people with Heisman votes. And I don't know. It's just one of these things. It's hard to do it. Like, even when you look at the number of like this amount of first place votes, I was like, this many people are voting. That's a lot. Like, that's a lot. Like,
this many people are voting. Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, before we do portal stuff, let's do some recruiting talk. Ace Alston and Xavier Hassan, two corners, have committed to Notre Dame for the 2027 class. Very exciting prospects, Jamie. I think they're really good football players. You gave Hassan the BMO comp, which I think is good, which I think is great. We showed some of his highlights yesterday on Power Hour. Here's the thing with Hassan, right? And I don't know if I think Matt likes to make me upset in the chat. I think he likes to make me mad. And too many return highlights. Here's the thing, man. Honestly, I don't care. So I'm actually curious to get your take on this. I don't know how much I care about actual coverage highlights for a guy who is returning punts and kickoffs like that, because you're showing me your athletic ability.
Yes.
So like I don't actually need to see. I don't need to see you actually how you play off coverage or this, that. I mean, it can't look ridiculous, right? I mean, there's levels to this, but it's also kind of like, especially after the Dallas Golden experience, especially after the Tay Johnson experience, where it's like, hey, if you're showing me athletic ability, I'm going to trust Notre Dame feels confident about their feet and their hips and everything, that they're going to be good football players. Xavier Hassan had like 6 return touchdowns.
Yes.
I'm all good on the explosiveness piece for him.
To me too, that's why I think, like, because sometimes you might watch and be like, well, why are they showing them finish out this pick 6? Like, it's not just to show that, like, hey, this guy's like, you get the ball in his hands, he can do this. It's like, no, that's speed. Or why are you showing this guy chasing this guy down?
Yeah.
Whatever, right? It's like, those are important clips to put on your highlight reel. They're, as a DB, extremely important. Extremely important. You got to have speed. You got to be able to run. Like, and yes, he has, like, he's sub 1100 or 11 seconds 100 meters, as a sophomore. Like I think he had like 22.23, 200 meters. Like he's got like pretty good track times, whatever. But you watch him on the field and I'm like, he's just like an easy speed runner who runs away from people.
Mm-hmm.
That's important. It is 100%. It's like, the thing is too, is that you're judging high school players. You have to judge it different than you would judge, a guy going into the NFL.
For sure. Yeah.
These guys
100%.
aren't finished products. They're very different. And you're looking at it. And not that I do see I've seen like a bunch of clips of him at like camps and stuff, and him just like him and just how easy he is out of his pedal and all that kind of stuff. Because you see a lot of him like bailing, like that's what he does a lot of it. And he plays more zone than man and all that. So you want to see stuff. He was at Invasion, so got to see him then. I'm like, yeah, I mean, definitely. And that is one of those things at camp for me. I always look at when, like, whether it's camp for Notre Dame or going to like a camp for like a recruiting camp, I always watch the DBs, because individual to me is like, it's way better to watch individual DBs than it is for any other position. Receivers as well, I would say too, just because how guys get in and out of breaks, right? Like just like how natural are their feet, because some of these guys haven't done these specific movements that you've done, you're doing for these drills right now, but how easy it is for them to pick it up. How fluid are they? That's the one thing you watch. Like, I remember watching like Kyle Hamilton at the opening, and you're just like, this is ridiculous. There's guys who's 6'4" shouldn't be able to, kind of like speed turn like this. Like there's things like that stand out, right? And definitely one of those things, like when you see a guy like really like run, and you see that like speed and turn and run, like it's important. It's very important. And that was the thing to me. And the reason why I put the BMO comp on him is because I know some of the time is him just bailing, but you just look, there's so many clips of him just like being like, he's like running the route for the receiver, and that to me, and you see that obviously with Leonard Moore too. He's not as big as Moore, but that's what makes those guys outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what right away, that was the thing. Like to me, the indelible image of Ben Morrison at Notre Dame is the back shoulder pick six that he had against Clemson as a freshman. And obviously he had a bunch of picks, and he had a lot of great plays, throughout his time. But that play, because you can only be in that play when you are so comfortable running with a guy that you can have your head turned to the quarterback that you're like, this guy's not running by me. I'm right there with him. And then he could just break on that. That's why the back shoulder is so hard to defend, because, Greg, like you're usually chasing, and then that guy pulls back. It's like, well, it's undefendable,
right?
Unless you can run with that guy, and you are on that guy's hip and doing that. And so that's the kind of thing that you see with a guy like Hassan. And also too, like I'm just big on like ball production. 10 interceptions as a sophomore and junior combined, like, and it's pretty obvious because the thing is, like, when you see a guy has 7 picks as a sophomore, and then he has 3 picks the next year, and you're like, oh, there's more return clips. I'm like, they're not throwing at him. They're not throwing at him, because why would you?
And especially in high school, like you just,
oh yeah,
it's just, you like just go stop.
Yeah, and especially if you don't have a D1 kid, you're not throwing to that. You're not throwing to oh, this other guy who's the top 100 kid in the country. Yeah, we're not throwing his way the whole game. Like that's just what it is, right? Like unless you're Syracuse or whatever, right? Like like, and you got a lacrosse player playing quarterback, you're not throwing that or whatever. Or not Syracuse, sorry, Stanford, because it was the Stanford game that I was Elijah Brown, what are you doing, man? I'm like, this is you don't have the modern day receivers here, like don't be throwing those balls,
Yeah, and Ace Alston's got some good ball production too. He's got a lot of that. One of the best like bait jobs you'll see in some of them. Like sometimes you say, "Oh, he's baiting him." It's like, I don't know that he's baiting him. Like there was one, like he's truly baiting the quarterback, and he throws the flat and he jumps it and he picks it off. So that's another one. I think just the attitude of those two players is something. I mean, there was a comment from Justin about The kind of athletes they're pulling are on another level of anything we've seen in a while. That's true, but also the attitude of these guys. I mean, they're good. They know they're good, and they play in a way that reflects like their advantage over the competition.
Yeah.
And like you want guys like that, right? Like that is what that's what Christian Gray has. That's what Leonard Moore has. That's what Ben Morrison has, right? Like the great players, they play with an attitude. And obviously like they're top 100 caliber as well. So it's really good. I mean, obviously Notre Dame's trending, and this kind of goes to, and we can kind of transition a little bit. And I'm curious to get your thoughts on this as well. I really need for Notre Dame to announce this extension for Marcus Freeman so people stop asking us about it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like, because was it Diana Rossini who put out the there was an article in the Athletic.
Very clickbaity.
It was to me, it read as the agent is saying people are interested in Marcus Freeman.
Extremely.
Because it was all kind of one-sided. It was they are interested. We're not like there's no indication of interest from Marcus Freeman. But because of that, it's like, okay, his time is limited at Notre Dame. And I do think it's notable as someone who like Marcus Freeman takes a lot of pride in what he does. And I think that Notre Dame, while they are recruiting the way that they are in 26 and now 27, it's like they have one of the best rosters in college football. Marcus Freeman, if he continues this way, could build like top 2-3 roster in the sport.
Yeah.
And like at Notre Dame, obviously they haven't had that since, I mean, that is like truly going back to the Holtz days. I don't know that if you're going to build what he's building and then be like, all right, I'm going to go to the Jags. Like, I just don't know that he's going to want to do that. Like, you're going to bring in all these guys and then it's like, all right, peace out. I'm going to let Clark Lee coach him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like so that's the kind of thing where it's like, I know we're prisoners of the moment sometimes. And, there's a lot of talk with him with the Giants and everything. And, people do what they do, right? And people ask, like, what's the deal with Freeman? Is he leaving? Is he leaving? It's kind of one of those things I don't like answering because our intel is like, no, he isn't. And, like, there's going to be an announcement soon. But obviously things change in college football and you don't want to sound ridiculous. But I just think it would be very hard to build this and
walk away
and
from
then
it.
just walk away from it. That's kind of my thought on it.
I agree. And I just think it wouldn't be smart to do that because then why did you put in all the work for it? But
Right.
And I just think that there's so much here set up where you have things he has so much power and so much control and so much influence within the athletic department and within the university right now. And that has been earned. Obviously he's earned that.
Yeah. 100%.
But the thing is like, it's one of the reasons, if you look at, say, like Pete Carroll is a perfect example. Pete Carroll went and obviously had a dynasty run at USC, incredible run. They won so many games, all that kind of stuff. Well, the reason but he didn't remember he was a failure as an NFL coach. Well, the reason he was successful as an NFL coach the second time around was because he went to the right organization with the right owner and with the right GM and all that kind of stuff there. And like, I know whatever people are saying, well, the New York Giants, the guy who was like, Saquon, we're going to cheap him up. Like,
yeah,
they haven't done a great, like the reason Brian Daboll, I'm not saying he's a great coach or anything. They haven't really built the roster in a way that it's like that is set up to see. I know they have good young talent, but that doesn't mean that you're set up. And you have to bet on that guy and all of this kind of stuff. And yeah, they have, I mean, good ownership, I think, like, because those guys have been there for so many years and all that. And I don't think they interfere too much, but you have to have synergy with all that kind of stuff. And right now, Notre Dame has synergy within all this kind of stuff. And that thing, I think, is just hard to walk away from. And I'll say this too, because Raymond Horn mentioned about Diane Rossini and whatever. I'm not talking bad about her or any of these insider people, but in general, a lot of that stuff, especially when it comes to coaches, it's agents feeding them because they want their guys. They're hyping their guys. They're trying to get raises.
For sure.
They're trying to get raises. And if you're always hot and someone's always trying to hire you, then you're going to not just get raised, but you're going to have more power to say, like, well, if you want to keep me, well, you got to give more to this. You got to do that. You always want to have that. You always want to have the upper hand. And I think that is the thing where it's critically important to know, like, what is what, and, you know, what's real and what is put out there for public consumption.
Mm-hmm.
And I 1000% agree with you that how that piece was written, even if you read that article, it did not make it sound like he was whatever. It was very purposeful in saying, like, they were tweeting out the picture of Marcus Freeman, even though there was like 5 other guys mentioned for the job. Like, they do that on purpose. It's all it's all like part of a game, right? It just and that's the thing too, is like Adam Schefter, obviously the guy has a million sources, all this, but you even see with the Michigan stuff, like, everyone has their own guys, their own biases, and whatever, and you have to take it. There's very few people that you're like, man, this is a trustworthy person that you just totally put all your trust into when they're news breaking. You have to kind of read between the lines with a lot of it.
Yeah. You just have to look at it as a totality and say, what did this actually tell me? You know, what are you telling me? Right. To the point about the Giants, like, look, Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman took the Notre Dame job. He inherited an 11-1 team. Right now, we've talked about how, you know, the roster was a little bit more flawed than we would have, you know, than it's kind of was led to believe and all those other things. But, like, it's still like an 11-1 program. The year before they went to the playoffs. You know, they had won double-digit games for like 5 straight years or whatever it is. So, they were in a good position. The Giants are not, speaking specifically to that situation. So, I just, you know, obviously we really like what they're building, and then the 2027 class is off to a great start. The 26 class is as good as we've kind of seen in 35 years. So that's a big deal. There was a question here about the portal. Someone asked me about the portal and what Notre Dame needs to do. Oh, one more thing before I get to that. Someone asked about the new start time for the show. I think we're going to try to do 10 a.m. Eastern time going forward. It's easier for me and it works out for Jamie. So that's what we're going to do. I can do the show and then take my kids to school. So that's easier. All right. Post game 86 asked, Greg, what does Notre Dame need to do out of the portal? And I think before we answer that question, Notre Dame needs to know who is coming back on their roster. I think the most important piece is in the non-running back division. I think Jeremiyah Love is out. I think Jadarian Price will leave. If he's like the number 2, number 3 back, like, it's just kind of a no-brainer. He's going to have his degree, and it would make sense that he wants to do that. I guess partly on the running back division, though, like Aeneas Williams, I think is important for Notre Dame. I think he's shown enough to where it's like he can be a top 2 back at Notre Dame. And if you're a top 2 back, you're going to get over 100 carries and you're going to be very heavily involved. I think the fact that he's good in pass pro, I think the fact that he can catch the football that we've seen over and over again, he can be explosive. Like, he has a role at Notre Dame, and I think they will make steps to keep him around. So I think he's important. Obviously, Boubacar Traore is important. Billy Schrouth is hugely important for Notre Dame. Adon Schuler is hugely important for Notre Dame. I believe they're trying to get an extra year for Jason Onye, and that would be a huge deal as well. So those are kind of the things that are out there for Notre Dame. I've heard recently good positive comments about Aeneas Williams and about Boubacar Traore. Obviously, these things are fluid. And right now, like agents for coaches are trying to get raises for their players. Like agents for players are also trying to get the best deal possible for them. So sometimes that's a back and forth there. But that's kind of where it is. Where are you at on the portal? And like, of the guys, I think Burnham has an extra year. He's possible to come back. I'm curious to hear what you think about Jalen Sneed as well. Because of the KVA injury, Jalen Sneed might become more important. So kind of where are you at with Notre Dame in there and the retaining the roster?
Well, I mean, I think almost everyone that has the option to come back, I would say, are guys that could be worth bringing back. But I don't know if that would be the best for them personally. So like Sneed is a perfect example where I get it. Like I actually, John Imperial says Sneed is a need. I don't think he's actually a need at all. He's a luxury. He is, a skilled guy who's could be a good pass rusher, a good sub package player. I don't think he's had 4 years. I don't really think that he's going to be a 3-down linebacker for Notre Dame next year. I don't think he's certainly, if they bring Bowen and Osbury and KVA, and then you got Matt Ferrell and everybody else, is he really going to be a starting 3-down linebacker? I don't think so at Notre Dame. So like, I think you could bring a lot of value, but it's like, well, does he want to spend his 5th year doing that? And then also too, you have to think, well, KVA, one of the things that they brought him here for brought him to Notre Dame for was they thought, oh, well, he could do some of the stuff that KVA and Sneed does. So it's like, do you think that he'll do that in year 2? And if you do, then it's like, well, how much money you were giving to Sneed and all that, like all of that kind of stuff plays into it too. So as much as he would be a guy who would help the team, I don't know if that is like necessarily the best thing for him to come back. Like, and I'm just being honest, right? And it's not to say that I don't think if he wants to come back, like you bring him back, but I think
you wouldn't overpay.
No, you would not, because it's just.
I'm saying you. I don't know.
I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. And the thing is that you don't want to be in a position where you bring somebody back and then it's like, well, they might get beat out for that role, So, and no, KVA could be back at 8. I mean, they're talking about Patrick Mahomes maybe being back for the start of the season. Yeah. ACL's a 9-month injury now and not a 12-month. So it's like, it depends. Like we don't know what's going to happen with any of this stuff. So you just have to wait and see. But like KVA will be back at some point, but it's not even just that. It's like the Mad Ferrero piece. Do you think he's taking a jump? Because you saw him at the end of the year. Yeah. Where do you think he's going to be 6 months from now? All that kind of thing. So that's an important thing. So Josh Burnham, who, to me, Josh Burnham is a little different because, one, I just think you just need more depth up front. I just think you just need more depth up front, and he is a starting quality player. Now, does it mean that he will start over Bryce Young this year? I don't know. And maybe that's the hard decision that they have to make, is like, they're not, and he's going to want this, and he wants a bigger role and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But also, too, Josh Burnham is like a culture setter guy. Like he's a guy who's going to come and like work his butt off and be like an example for all these people. Like he wasn't voted a captain, but he has those kind of captain traits that you're looking for in terms of, what you would want. And a guy who's going to like lay it on the line. Also, he was ascending at the end of the year and all that kind of stuff. So I could see it go either way with him, but those are the kind of decisions that I think you have to make, right? Like where if it's a guy going into his last year or this last couple of years or whatever, it's like, well, is there someone there who's ready to take another step there? How do you feel about the people coming in? And if like these guys that you don't get to decide in the spring like you would at another time, but you want to see where maybe which of these freshman class guys can help you right away. And, or which of these guys that maybe you're on the bench or you're like, this guy was ready. He just didn't get an opportunity. And now maybe that opens an opportunity. Right. So, I think there's a lot of like, hard choices there. And I think you got to be careful because you don't want to always think that like, well, that you can get somebody better in the portal. You probably could for a bunch of these guys, but it's like, well, do you have the money for that? How's that going to mess with your culture and all this kind of stuff? And that's what I think to me is going to be the most interesting, because I think they kind of did it right where they're able to keep guys that were, I think, important program guys, like a guy like Junior Tui Halamaka. Obviously he's gone now, but like a guy having him back this year, it's not to say like he wasn't like this lights out super impact player, but that's a good guy to have around on your team. And it's a consistent presence. And you got to make those kind of hard choices with some of it. And I think it's going to be really interesting to kind of see, which guys go and which guys stay. But I mean, obviously they're trying to keep as many of the core guys as possible.
Yeah.
And then kind of build around that.
Yeah. I think Greathouse and Gray are fascinating conversations. Like with Greathouse, it's interesting because like last year, coming off the playoffs, right? I mean, his number was big. He had a big number, and obviously that didn't work out at all. Actually, from a financial standpoint, right? You didn't get anywhere near what you paid for. And it's like not to blame the player. He got hurt, right? It is what it is. But it just like, if he's asking for similar, like, can you really pay that? Like, I don't know that you can, right? Can you get similar production for cheaper out of the portal? That's something that you have to figure out, right? With Christian Gray, when we kind of talked about it at the end of our last show, he's fascinating. I mean, because he's, as someone who's played as many snaps as him, someone who's played as many big games as he's played in. He's made so many big plays. He's been on the wrong end of so many big plays. I saw Jacoby Lane for USC is leaving. So, I mean, get him out of there, right? So Christian, like maybe Christian Gray, it's like, hey, maybe
this guy's gone. Hey,
this guy's
sign me
gone.
back up.
Worry about it. Yeah. So I that's sitting there, right? Like, what do you think about Dallas Golden? What do you think about Mark Zachary? Like, what do you think about those guys? What do you think about Kari Adams, right? Like for Notre Dame, if Christian Gray is the block to the field for someone like Dallas Golden or someone like Kari Adams, is like, are you willing to do that? The other factor in this is like, I keep thinking Notre Dame they can make moves and bring people back. It's like they can be favorites to win the national title. And I think Notre Dame has to have that kind of urgency. I think they do, especially with CJ Carr, because you have hit the jackpot at quarterback and he's in-house and he's going to be around and you know what you're getting. And look, as much as I just said, Marcus Freeman building this, that, and the other thing, you don't know that he is actually like you have a window here with Marcus Freeman and you don't know how long it is or how long the window is going to be. You have to go all in. And I think they need to really think hard about that and just like what that looks like, like I think in a normal year, maybe you don't need another running back out of the portal, but if you can be aggressive and get a stud, I think you do it because again, the roster, it looks like it'll be great going forward, but will it? Like actually will it? And can you guarantee that? Do you know that you're going to have a quarterback the caliber of CJ Carr? You don't. Sharon side piece. Says on the super chat, thank you for the super chat, Christian Gray likely coming back. I can't say likely. I can't say doubtfully. I can't say any sort of adjective there. I don't know. He obviously could if he came back. I would not be upset at all. And if he left, I would be understanding from Notre Dame's position because they do have options there. It's a fact. There's no clear answer in my opinion, and it's a fascinating conversation.
Well, and this is the other thing with both guys, like a Greathouse and a Gray. They're very close to getting their degree.
Yeah. Gray specifically because he's a junior, and so is
so is Greathouse, right? And
Yeah,
they're both I believe they're both early enrollees. Like they might be getting it this spring. I don't know. I'm not sure. Whatever. Everybody's in a different path, whatever. But that impacts it too, whether or not, all of that. So I think there's a lot that goes into all this stuff. There's more than just like, hey, promises that are made money wise and all that too, because and that's why too, like, I get it from the perspective of like, there's so many of these teams where you could just say, well, we're cutting this guy, right?
Yeah.
Like you could just do this. And I'm not those guys. I'm talking about other guys in the roster or whatever, but like, because you're obviously not going to just straight cut those guys, but there could be other guys that are in their same year that you're like, well, this guy's never going to play and whatever. And those are hard decisions because it's like, well, this guy's very close to his degree. And then sometimes too, they obviously have done the, medical red shirt, and they've done that with a few guys too. But I think it's all like different because that's why you see there's so many guys where either they're like, say like a Micah Bell, where it's like, it ain't working out, he's out.
Yeah.
And there's a difference when there's someone who it's not working out, but they're there for 3 years. There's a big difference.
Has there ever been a player like Christian Gray who would hit the portal, 2-year starter, like that it's unprecedented. Like, so on that front, and also too, I'm fairly confident that Christian Gray is very well liked in the locker room, and he's kind of a fabric of the program over the last 2 years. It's hard to have business decisions about those types of players because he's important. You can't say he's not, and he's involved in so many big moments for Notre Dame. To me, it's like, can you try to get him back? And I think personally, I see it both ways, right? But if you get someone, to me, I don't know that you can say goodbye to him because of the freshmen and the young guys, because you really don't know. And again, I keep saying it, going into next year, you got to be sure. In my opinion, you got to be sure because of what is coming down the pike. We do know they're going to take at least one wide receiver. I think they're going to take 2. That's just my opinion. Nick Marsh is out there, and I do know Notre Dame is involved. A lot of people are involved, right? So it's not just a simple case of he went into the portal. They need to recruit him, and they need to win a recruiting battle, if to the point that they're coming they're going to get him. Is Nick Marsh, in your opinion, worth breaking the bank for? Is he that caliber of wide receiver?
Yeah, I mean, he is a perfect example of someone who, he put up good numbers, but his numbers were directly affected by how bad the quarterback play was.
Right.
So Aiden Childs is in the portal now too. I don't think he's going to have a big market. Like he's not a good quarterback. He's a good athlete, but he's not a great quarterback.
What year is he?
I believe he's going to be
junior?
A senior. Yeah.
Is he going to be a senior?
Yeah, he was, because he went with Jonathan Smith after his first year. So I think it was a 2-year starter at Michigan State, and he was a freshman at Oregon State.
Got you.
So
okay. Yep. All right.
I believe he's going to be a 4th-year senior next year. Marsh, I would, to me, he is worth it to be like, if you make them your top guy, that's the guy to go after, because one, he fills that immediate need. He's that boundary that you could fit into the Malachi Field spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't say he is. I think Fields has maybe a little bit more juice, like just vertically. than him. But he is a beast after the catch. Like he led all power 4 receivers in 28 missed tackles force. He does have the same kind of like, if he watches basketball highlights in high school, he's above the rim athlete. He can get up there. Like his contested catch target stuff isn't good this year, but a lot of that is quarterback play. Right? A lot of that is quarterback play. And he's very good. He's very good. Like he had more drops than he should have this year. So I wouldn't say he is consistent as a guy as Fields in that area. But he's a guy you could insert and be like, could be your wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
And there's just very few guys that you could say that about it. Like if Cam Coleman goes in the portal, which I don't think he has yet. I haven't seen it, right? Like Cam Coleman, you would put above him, but I haven't seen another receiver in the portal that you would say, yeah, this is a guy you think could be a wide receiver 1, like, and would probably just walk into most teams and do that. And I think that's what he would be.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you said, I don't know that he has the vertical juice that Malachi Fields had. It's obviously a very good player. Sly Fox says Marsh has 2 years of eligibility. He only wants 1. He's not coming to Notre. If he comes to Notre Dame, he's not trying to be at Notre Dame for 2 years. He wants to have a big season with CJ Carr and go pro. Yeah, in my opinion,
probably most likely,
and that's probably. And this isn't, I'm not making some sort of character judgment. I just like that's if you've been good for 2 years, you want that third year to just be your last one. That's kind of how that works. And CJ Carr is not going to be around next year or the year after next year either. So like that also makes sense for him. It's like, I want to play with this good player and move on. I think the Cam Coleman thing, that's like I don't even dare to dream that big. I think if they were to get someone like Cam Coleman, that to me is like Notre Dame's winning the national title kind of stuff. Just like you would have that feeling if they were to grab someone like that. Wake Forest defensive tackle. I don't know how to say his name. So that's the situation there.
Mateen Ibiroga. I don't know if that's how you spell his name.
He got brought up on Power Hour yesterday as well, and I wanted to bring him up today. Is that someone you feel like Notre Dame should go after?
I would say he's a guy because one, he's a grad transfer. So
from an ACC school, that's
from an ACC school. Yeah. So he's played. I will say he originally went to Georgetown. 6'3", 296. Originally went to Georgetown. Redshirted the first year when he transferred to Wake Forest. I'm not sure if that was because of injury or not, but he was a 4-game guy. But last year, 5.5 havoc plays. It's not like crazy or anything like that, but 12.8% win rate was 11th best power forward defensive tackles. 22.1% win rate versus true pass sets, 7th best out of power forward D tackles. 26 total pressures, tied for 7th out of power forward D tackles. He's a guy with quicks. He's a guy who could be like a 1-gap penetrator guy, really good pass rusher. He's a better pass rusher than he has against a run. But I think if you just get a guy, I think about Jared Dawson this year, and I think Jared Dawson, frankly, outplayed expectations too. I thought he was going to be good, but I thought he was even better than he was, than most people thought he probably was going to be. He could be Jared Dawson or something, and you would take that in a second, right? Now, the problem is that there's not, if you look at the list of the D tackles out there, he's right near the top. Like there's not a lot of other guys out there that are, like someone mentioned, John Walker from UCF. I mean, one of the reasons that guy's in it is because it's like, he's going to get paid. Defensive tackles should almost, if you were at a bad school, like that, that you're not going to win.
Yeah.
And all that, you want to look for a better opportunity. Why wouldn't you go? Because you're going to get a huge amount of money. Like, the guy USC got this year, Keyshawn Silver, he wasn't even a starter for them. And first of all, his production throughout his career was bad.
He got paid. Yeah, he got money.
Paid. He got a huge check. And honestly, good for him because he ain't getting that in the NFL. He might not even get drafted. He's probably not getting drafted. So that's why it's like it makes sense. Like John Walker, if you're thinking about, he's more of like a traditional nose, good two gap kind of guy, like good run defender, good player. I really liked him out of high school too. Harkless, who Warnock is like, he stood out to me as a guy because I thought he was decent, right? He's a decent player. But Harkless, to me, when I watched them, and maybe because I've watched more Purdue than these other teams, I watched Harkless, and I was like, I think he would have had a tough time being in the rotation at Notre Dame last year. So it's like, now that guy is one of the guys you want to plug in. He could be this next year. I don't know, but I wouldn't say he's a guy that I would put at the top of my list. And it just shows you there's like a dearth of defensive tackles the whole time. And that's why it's really hard. Right. And I think one of these things too, that we're seeing, and we see it in other sports too. Right. I know in like the NBA and the NHL, MLB, this happens all the time now. They talk about, well, in 2 years, this is going to be the free agent class. By the time that 2 years gets to that point when the free agent, NFL too, obviously, all the top guys re-sign with their teams.
Yeah.
Because they know, they're like, they look at the landscape and they say, we're not going to be able to replace this guy. The only way we can replace this guy is through the draft. So we can't, and we're not going to have a high pick. So we're not going to have this. So we have to re-sign this guy for money. And that's how they do it. That's why when you see, it's so rare when a Micah Parsons gets traded, because they're never going to find that guy. You're never just going to get that guy in free agency, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's not going to happen. And it's the same thing now with like college football. Like if you really have someone who's a really good player, the odds of you just upgrading through that are slim. So that's why, especially on offensive, defensive lines, if you look at they keep signing big numbers there at those positions, and they have there's like 20 defensive linemen, scholarship defensive linemen on the roster this year. And, it was about like 18 offensive linemen. And that's kind of what it's got to be every year. Cause you're just going to lose guys that, who could maybe and I don't know if Sullivan Absher is going to go or whatever, but that's a guy you could lose. Mm-hmm. So you have to be able to replace that with somebody else, because you're not going to get that out of the portal, because everybody else wants that guy and they're going to pay big money for him. So it's a hard thing. And I think that's why defensive tackle, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I would be shocked if they weren't interested in those guys. And maybe they could get Bettine or whatever. It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
That he would do that. And especially too, he might be a kid. I mean, he went to Georgetown and then Wake Forest. You would think this guy, maybe he does actually want to go and be like, I want to do this business program at Notre Dame or whatever. Yeah. So that could be something that could be actually really attractive to him, and not just a big paycheck. But he'll probably get a big paycheck from somebody.
Yeah. It's interesting. So I mentioned, I think they're going to have 2 wide receivers. I think they're going to go after 2 wide receivers. And I was thinking about the type of player that Aeneas Williams is. And even if they went after someone in the portal like Hollywood Smothers, right? I wonder if Notre Dame next year is going to try to recreate those LSU offenses with Jaden Daniels. Not in the sense that obviously there's not going to be as much quarterback run, but just a lot more wide open, and putting it all on CJ Carr. I feel like of all the players, no, I don't want to say all on CJ Carr, putting it more on CJ Carr, right? It's completely his offense, in a way that this year it's they're giving the ball to Jeremiyah Love and Jadarian Price 35, 40 times a game, right? I don't know that we're going to see that from Notre Dame next year. And I just wonder if their portal moves kind of reflect that. It's something that I think fans need to kind of, I don't know, keep in mind. I know Aeneas Williams is good. I just don't see them using them the same way that they would Price and Love. Like, I just think they're different types of backs, and so I think the offense is going to evolve, and I think that the portal moves on offense will reflect that. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's going to be very interesting. Like I said, Nick Marsh, I think they're going to go after another one. I just think they're absolutely going to go for it. I mean, they'd be dumb not to, right? Obviously, kicker and punter, that's something that they need to figure out. And there's guys that, the other part of this is like I was going to say Marty Biaggi, but like the other part of this is like we're in a coaching carousel situation. So like, who on the staff is coming back, right? Is Gino coming back? I think Ge Wang is I'm pretty confident that he's going to be around. So that's not someone I'm thinking about, but like Gino's been there for a long time. Al Washington's been at Notre Dame for a long time. Obviously Mickens is a hot commodity all the times as a defensive back coach and a secondary coach. But like, does he want to bring in the types of guys that he's bringing in and then not coach them, right? Like, do you not want to coach Joey O'Brien and Kari Adams and Aiden Pouncey? I mean, these guys are like legacy players. I mean, you can't go anywhere and coach guys better than this, right? Like,
you're not going to go. No, there's nowhere he could go.
Yeah. So, kind of that's out there. But I think, we've already seen Max Bola move on. Like, what's Notre Dame going to do there? Marty Biaggi's been at Notre Dame for a couple of years now. And I got to say, like, I know the kicker stuff is the kicker stuff. Okay. And the kicking it was an issue in 24 in the regular season, was not in the playoffs. This year, kicking was a disaster. I mean, I can't imagine it actually being worse. They didn't make a field goal for like 2 months or whatever it is. They're completely unaccountable. In my opinion, the fake punt stuff and the punt block stuff, that is so valuable.
Valuable.
I'm almost like, I almost don't even care about the field goal stuff, because the thing that he's bad at, I don't like field goals anyway. I don't like kicking field goals. I want Notre Dame to be going for it. And the thing that he's good at is extending drives that lead to touchdowns, and his fake score touchdowns. So in my opinion, like, I would not be happy if Biaggi left. I don't like an advantage like that leaving your program. I think you count on him to get a kicker who is good enough on a weekly basis. And I would chalk this last year up as an anomaly. I don't want that leaving the program, man, because you get an advantage like that. I want that around.
I completely agree with that part. And I also think that the one thing about kicking, because this was something that I looked at when Biaggi was hired. And obviously he was for people that don't know, I think most people know that Biaggi was at Notre Dame before he was, went on and was at like Ole Miss and North Texas and stuff. But his kickers at those schools were like the average was 81%. So he's had a lot of success with kickers, and was a guy who kicked. Like, he was a kicking. So it's not like Polian was not a kicker. So it's not like he was doing that. It's like this guy actually kicked. So you would think that it was, he would be the right guy for that. And I do think we have to look at it that the injuries, for both 2 years in a row, like, so I don't know. It could be just fluke that happened, but why did those guys get hurt? It should be like the number one special teams things. Like, how come these guys got hurt? Was it something we were doing? Was it something to do with our training and how we were doing this or that, or we were trying to change this guy's thing and like, it was kick, leg swing or whatever. And then that caused it, whatever. Either way, like, it didn't cost them this year. And it didn't cost them last year. Obviously, Jeter was great when it mattered. Right. There's so many good kickers in college football. Like the old college kickers outside of the Ohio State guy, just like absolutely shanking an actual chip shot in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah.
I can't even recall another time other than Notre Dame's thing that really stood out where people on Twitter, oh, college kickers again.
Yeah.
Because I looked at the Notre Dame's opponents this year and almost every kicker was like 85, 90%. Like incredible. A lot of them were like freshmen.
Yeah.
So there's guys out there.
Yeah.
And I mean, they would know better than us about Schmidt and whether they think he actually, it's like some mental block that's why he couldn't do it or whatever. He obviously was like a highly rated guy. I never understand how, because it's always based on camps and stuff that they rate these kickers. But then you look at every single one of these kickers and not just that him, whatever, but so many of these guys. It's like, yeah, in his senior year, he went 4 for 5. I'm like, he only kicked 5 field goals all year. This is what we're going off of. Like, there's always that. It's every single one of them, right? So, because they play on teams that they don't have to kick field goals either, right?
Yeah.
So, I want to know, like, has this guy made a clutch kick? And fair enough. Some of these teams, like you're on BC, like Boston College. How many pressure kicks did that guy have to make this year?
Yeah.
And that was the one thing with Mitch Jeter and why was it, the injury didn't work out. But the reason why it worked out is because, well, he made a bunch of clutch kicks during his career at South Carolina. And that was really the main thing with John Doerr was that he made clutch kicks. So I don't care who they get in the portal. Get somebody that that has made at least a couple kicks in their career. Pressure's on, last minute of the game, you got a chance to go up or whatever, or tie the game, whatever, and they've made those kicks. Yeah. That's who you want. Like, obviously, you want someone with a big leg, all that kind of stuff. I will say Brian Mason, who was obviously before Biaggi, Freighter and Groupie, like kicking in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, pretty good.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, I think they can find a kicker. And like, every time Notre Dame punts, it's like, it's not getting blocked because they're afraid of a fake, and because they'll fake from anywhere. And every time they punt, you think Notre Dame can block this. So I just think it's an advantage you want to keep around. So, all right, we can end it there. Thank you everyone for tuning in today. If you like what you heard, hit that like button, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know whenever it is we're going live. We'll be back on Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern time with more Notre Dame discussion. Hopefully we get some news to discuss before that. So have a good rest of your day, everyone. We will talk to you soon. Keep hitting and hustling.